Good morning.
Morning.
We had a little Memorial Day hiatus. So, and then yesterday there was another thing that kind of supplanted the 10 a.m. slot. So we decided to push the Gazette to today, and it was good that we did because it gave us a little bit more to talk about. There are actually some new things that came up, and it's worth including in a news update like this. Wanted to start off talking about Boaty and what Boaty's about. Like we all got behind the coin because we heard that there was going to be a new game, and we wanted to support that. Well, they took a step forward, and now we know that the game's name is going to be Mooncast Online, and we got a little symbol there for it already. Another thing that came out is that it's going to be jointly owned by the GG Collective and the game developers. So that's a real big win for everybody. You got two parties there that are mutually excited about the success of the project.
Yeah.
You know, this is there's a whole lot going on with the GG Collective ecosystem. So
I think it's important to have that kind of joint, ownership in it, because, one of, I think, the kind of the fallouts that has happened previously is, the community really didn't have that sense of actually vested interest in the game itself. They might have had vested interests in, their own assets they owned or whatnot, but as far as the game itself, they really didn't have any vehicle to either promote that project on their own behalf, to be, involved in any sort of direction that it might go. And so it was important to us in, doing this Boaty launch, the fact that the funds raised from that pre-sale and sale of Boaty got dedicated to the Gala Collective to use for the development of a new project. We felt it was important to know we're not just going to hand everything off to whoever's going to build it and let them build it and own it all. We want to have that stake as far as the community is concerned. So, GG token holders can continue to help make sure it's being pushed in the right direction. Super excited to get the team, brought on board. We're going to be meeting with them down here tomorrow for consent. They're down here for consensus. We're going to be hashing out, okay, let's get some sort of roadmap. Let's get some more information out to the people and get this thing rolling and exciting. So.
Yeah, and I mean, it is just a first step. It's a name, it's an image, but now I got something to throw on a T-shirt, right?
Exactly. No, it's gonna
I need a new T-shirt now.
It's gonna be great. Hughes is awesome. His vision for what he wants this to be is spectacular. So I'm really excited to get to a point where we can actually start pushing that out and really building up the hype for it, because it's gonna be a cool.
We'll be sure to be putting out updates of the content as they start delivering them to us. That's it's going to be a constant feature in the Gazette.
100%.
Another thing that we can talk about with the collective, big news for NFTD, but even broader than NFTD is the HOPIA ecosystem. So NFTD is going to be the first game to introduce the HOPIA token. There is going to be much more to it than that. The light paper was delivered last Wednesday, and it's pretty thorough. I was watching the AMA yesterday, so they gave it to us last Wednesday, and then yesterday there was an AMA, and that was the 10 o'clock session that preempted the Gazette. It was also really handy because I do still build a town for Townstar, and it's really hard to try to do both of those at the same time. But the AMA was just fantastic. There was so much that was covered there. And some of the things that they were able to talk about, one of the things that really stood out to me was particularly in the breakdown of the spend distribution. So there is going to be an initial airdrop. So the two major categories for the token are the initial minting and distribution, which is going to be 31%. And then, as you can see there on that chart, the other 69% is going to be in-game earnings. So right off the bat, we're going to see a 5%. It's a 5% airdrop to GG token holders. So that's going to be fractionalized based on how many of those GG tokens that you're holding. And then the rest of it is pretty much going to go into reserves. Is that more or less what we're looking at here?
Yeah. So that next big chunk, that 10% for future airdrops.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important because as new people keep coming into this ecosystem, right? The GG token sale is going on right now at myseedstarter.com. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so that first airdrop is going to be okay to the people that have supported the foundation of this GG collective as a whole. But then that future airdrop is we know new people are going to be coming into the ecosystem. We're going to keep adding, auxiliary NFT collections into it. If the community says, hey, we want to have, this project involved and this project involved, as soon as we're able to code and get it in, we want to.
Yeah.
At some point, we almost need to have that, I think, balancing effect that another airdrop can bring is okay, this whole new wave of people that came in, a couple months after our sale ended have been here for a while now. Well, we want to give them some benefit as well. So that's kind of what those future airdrops are allocated for. But
Yeah.
then, essentially the rest of that is all essentially reserved to use for, future development.
Yeah.
Part of that for the collective treasury, treasury decisions are going to be managed and voted on, by the administrator that's elected for the GG collective. They're going to have say in, where we're spending those funds. If we want to spend them, do we just want to hold it, as sort of a reserve for the Hopia ecosystem as a whole? The developer fund being able to potentially use some of the Hopia funds and Hopia itself to, bring on new developers for
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a project we're already working on, bringing in something new entirely. Um, there's multiple different directions that are going to be able to go with this. And the beautiful part is, and largely that's going to be driven by the GG collective.
Yeah,
It's,
the community sentiment that we're going to be able to vote on that and decide what the
where these funds
community
go.
thinks is a good idea. And so, okay, so that's the first, that's 31%. The rest of it, the larger portion of it, is going to be for in-game earnings. And one of the major things that I was really pleased to see about that was that we're going to, in the spend distribution percentages, there's the developers aren't making money unless you're interested in the game and spending Hopia on the game.
Yep.
Like rather than guarantee daily distributions, it has to come through spend in the game. So for that to be an operating principle where people are putting out a product with and only receiving anything if it's consumed. If only this is only as good as the population that wants to be a part of the game. So I got my son sneaking in here to grab a tablet, and that's like totally distracting me. He got it now.
But I think you're directly, you're right. I think one of the big issues a lot of us have had is, okay, we're doing all the work to mine, we're having to put in time and energy to get our Hopia as a player. Is it really fair then on the other side that, just without, we can't just keep paying ourselves. It's not a money printer. And that's how things go awry. That's how, the right interest gets skewed because, if you're not directly staked in the success of the game and you can kind of just keep giving it to yourself, I don't really know how viable that is. So,
yeah,
exactly like you said, the developers get 10% of whatever is spent. Half of that total spent gets burned. But yeah, like you said, they only get paid if people are interested in what we're putting out.
And then you can also see that 10% to the GG collective, which means that'll help keep the community involved in regards to the direction of the game. That
Correct.
as just not even the game, the Hopia ecosystem. And that's something that we do need to point out, that there is a distinction between the GG collective, which has its own token, the GG token, which is a governance token. Now the GG collective is a SEC registered DAO. You have the Hopia ecosystem, but as of right now, NFTD is the sole game for certain that is being developed with the intent of having Hopia as an operating cryptocurrency within it. That does not exclude the idea of other games being brought into the Hopia ecosystem. There are already plans for that. And there's room for things that are completely unplanned at this point. So like you were talking about with the with the developer allocation and the 31% there, that's something that maybe it's just another cool game that rather than minting a brand new token or trying to come up with a different scheme for tokenomics, maybe it just fits into the way that Hopia works, and we can just kind of like seamlessly transition it into here and just kind of adopt the same kind of mechanics. So
yeah,
anyway.
No, exactly. I mean, I think it's the way I kind of think of it is, NFTD is at this point, sort of kind of the flagship game of the collective. We've really been helping to develop it.
Yeah.
We're super vested in the community that it has garnered within the collective. And yeah, so, at this current point, of that emissions, Hopia is just going to be earned through NFTD, but that emissions that total 69% for in-game activities and things like that is not just limited to NFTD. As more projects get brought on and the collective votes to put these new games within our ecosystem, it's going to be much broader. We've been wanting to have our own, okay, the GG token has to be separate. How can we have our own, in-universe currency that's used throughout the GG collective? And that's the goal for Hopia, is for it to really be your interoperability throughout all the things that we do. And that just starts with NFT.
Another thing that happened last week, the competition. So you can't earn Hopia in the game yet.
Right.
So it's been kind of buoyed by some other types of reward mechanisms. Last week, they introduced it's the cube tower, and if you own a Vox, you're able to put a cube tower in the game, or more than one. But as a cross-platform kind of promotion here, the Vox team supplied 20 common Vox lands, and so those were given out to the top 20, or will be given out to the top 20 players from last week's leaderboard.
Yep.
What's your take, Blake? What do you think about all this Hopia stuff? Is it
I love it. Someone the other day made a point of, kind of looking at, or I guess broader, looking at NFTD and kind of how it works with Hopia is the concept of, looking at something that's been successful like Pixels. They're successful because it's so interoperable. Any PFP you might have, there's some utility, as simple as just running around as that character is enticing and fun. So, and that's kind of the principle of what NFTD was built on, is we don't need to necessarily create the complete foundation of selling all these different towers, building out, all these different things.
Yeah.
People already own all these things from across projects. Well, let's just tap into that community and try to, provide further utility for it. And, that's what NFTD is doing, with Vox, with, the Fortitude, Realms, Orbs, trying to work with Faz. We want to get something Zipbug in there. We got the Curry Shoe towers in there. So, there's no limit to what that can be like.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's pretty
excited
exciting
to see it moving along.
We don't want to move on from the GG collective ecosystem without talking about arcade, because they've been just doing stuff. They started with Cade Runner, now they've got Glugger, they've got Claim Invaders. Which one am I missing? I know there's another one I'm missing.
Pong, Ye Olde Pong.
Oh yeah, Ye Olde Pong. So there was an influx of players last week. A group from the Tensor.trade NFT marketplace got excited about it and came in, and they were hosting their own tournament for it was specifically for Cade Runner. And so the leaderboards were really it was pretty challenging last week for people that wanted to get on the leaderboard. But one of the things that we were seeing as there were more people coming in, there were some problems that were coming up, and Doc kind of went. He got out the ban hammer in a big way. He said he ended up banning over 100 accounts last week for cheating or duping or somehow gaming the system. That they were just they were doing stuff that they weren't supposed to, and he knows, like they've built these games to be able to see this stuff. So do it the right way. Have a great time in arcade, but don't think you're going to get away with anything.
They're great. I mean, the Doc and Stone Ice, I mean, arcade is such a cool product. I think the fact of come in, play a revamped version of your classic games and earn something as well. I mean, I love it. I wish it was allowed legally here in Texas.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't play it without using something to get around that, and I feel dirty doing that, so I don't like it.
yeah. Same
I don't
same
want to
with
take
Idaho. It's
it.
only a
I
handful of states. It's
I
only
know, right?
like,
It's like 5. And my thing too is, Doc and Stone Ice, they've been amazing supporters of the GG Collective. We really want to help them in their community. And, I don't want to necessarily put them in any weird spot if they're like, hey, this guy in Texas was cheating the
yeah.
system. I care too much about the success of their project to put any sort of weird place on it. So,
Well, especially when they're doing something like this. So a lot of people would look at this like ban wave as something that would be a negative. I see it as an absolute positive, because with it being something that's skill based with earnings, like you don't want to be up against bots. You don't want people to be able to like scam those earnings. And so for them to be taking security very seriously, it makes it that much better of a competitive environment. It's really the players you're playing against. You're not up against someone that's found some sort of unfair advantage. And so that, like I said, that's an encouragement to me that they're on top of security that way. And it's also good to see it growing. I mean, the numbers of people that are now able to experience it because they just heard about it. It was just kind of word of mouth kind of stuff. I'm glad to see their success.
yeah, no, it's great. They're, like I said, great guys building an awesome project, and love to see it.
Another game that's been bandied about in a bunch of the Discord channels that are connected to the GG Collective, people have been talking about Spellborn. So I wanted to dig into it. There is actually an article that'll be coming out that dives deeper into the gameplay and the kinds of things that you can do, the kinds of things you'll be expected to do while you're going about. Now, you can't get into the game unless you have one of their NFTs, either an apartment NFT or one of their monster NFTs. But this closed alpha, closed playtest, I don't even know exactly how they're billing it. It went down last week for about 2 days at the end of the week. And when it came back online, there were some marked differences. Prior to the upgrade, there were the battles. It's like a Pokemon style, but the battles between the monsters, pretty painstaking, pretty slow. You kind of had to sit and wait for a bunch of things to happen. I got back in shortly after it came back online, and it was night and day. I mean, the things are flowing much more smoothly. They didn't do any like vast changes to the interface. You're still playing the game the same way. There were a couple of UI improvements. One of the things that I noticed, it seemed to be easier to track the experience as your monsters are winning battles and things like that. And so that was really nice to see. There were a couple adjustments to mission rewards and some other bug fixes as well. But really, it was the performance improvement, particularly in the battles. That was a marked difference that made me happy, because it is a grindy game, and if you have to just sit there and wait during that grind, you're looking for other things to do. You're getting distracted. You forget to do it, and so now you can kind of keep a flow going and carve out a chunk of time to just get stuff done and then move on from it. But yeah, that article should be coming out shortly, and it will go a little bit more in depth on everything that they've made available to us as far as like their idea for tokenomics, but more particularly the gameplay stuff, the things that are going on in there. And I even dropped a little bit of a like kind of pro tip as far as like, hey, don't do this, but I'll let you guys check that out at your leisure. Last game we're going to focus on today, back to Neon Heroes. It continues to impress. They have the Neon token airdrop live right now. It opened on May 21st, and it's going to go until June 5th. Now, this is for season 1. So during season 1, you were collecting meows, and those were kind of like their tracker token in order for you to be able to you piled up meows, and the number of meows that you collected are being converted into the Neon token right now. The only way you can claim it is through the link that they've provided through their Discord server. And that I see that as a security measure. They've said over and over again, don't try to claim your tokens anywhere else. That's someone scamming you. There's a very specific nyanheroes.com claim link. It should be the only way you go about doing it.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not even going to include it. Like when we post our little article, I might direct them to the Discord, but
yeah,
good security practices. Go to the right source.
Yep, for sure. They said the initial circulating supply based on this airdrop it's going to be 12% of the total token supply, and as of now, you're going to be able to have if you want to trade, get some of it for yourself, or sell yours that you already have. You can go to Bybit, Gate.io, Backpack, HTX, BitGet, and Cube. So they've already got partnerships with 6. I guess they would be like second tier markets. They're not. It's not Coinbase yet, but they're definitely popular places for people to take their tokens. And some of those places,
institutions, but yeah.
Well, and definitely like the gaming coin marketplaces, because a lot of gaming coins, it takes them a while before they get recognition with the.
I feel like you're only going to see them on dexes and things like that for the majority of the time.
Season 2 is also now ended. So for season 2, you were collecting catnip either through the social fi stuff or from actual gameplay. That came to a close, and they said that there's going to be another 5 million tokens, which represents about 0.5% of the total supply. Those will be distributed as a result of the season 2 gameplay. It's really interesting. Like this game in pre-alpha was commanding a ton of attention on the Epic Games platform. So they've actually closed out the Battle Dome, they call it, and they're expecting the next update sometime this summer. They haven't given a date, not even a month at this point. They've just said summer. But they did say that there's going to be all sorts of new features that are coming in with it. So just a few things today. We wanted to we're moving to a short and sweet format. I was just getting too long-winded.
we don't want to start chatting.
Yeah, we really do. Just like, hey, how's the family?
Yeah, exactly.
But we got a little treat for you. We're gonna close out with something that was put together by Captain Nero, who he's got a flair. Let's see what we got here.
From the depths of the sea to the heights of the sky, Boaty's a coin that can never die. Full of rebirth, a chance to start anew, a world of abundance for me and for you. Yo, and a bottle of rum, Boaty make both days. The time has come, new world awaits, corruption to erase. All hail the Boaty make both days. So raise your glass, scallywags true, to Boaty in both face and all it can do. A treasure that's real, not just a fable. A future so bright, it's almost unstable. Yo ho ho, and a bottle of gold. Boaty make both days, the time has come.
That's a wrap.
Probably the best thing to come out of AI. I can't get enough of it. All right, everyone. We'll leave it there. We'll leave you with that. Good taste in your mouth. Have a great rest of your week.
See you next time.